Hi, this is Eric Johnson. I just recently got back from a trip to Vernal, Utah. I was on the Utah side, about 30 miles on the Utah side of uh, the Colorado border. My trip intention was to go into the Colorado Rockies, to go up to an area called Vermilion Creek, somewhere I was on in my last trip, but also to go to into some of the Rockies east of Vermilion Creek. Um, it's a big range of mountains. There's a lot of things there. It's prime Forrest Fenn treasure hunting country if you consider the Outlaws, uh, the Green River is there, Flaming Gorge. A lot of people, including me, have used that as where warm waters halt. And there's just a lot of places in there that I personally, there's one particular place I think the clues lead me. Vermilion Creek is interesting. If you watch my Vermilion Creek videos, you know that I got to the southern end of the canyon to Vermilion Creek, and at the northern end of that canyon are petroglyphs, which I speculated might have the blaze in around there somewhere. You would assume underneath them. I was not able to get to the northern part of the canyon my last trip, and so part of what I had told people I was going to do was go back to the northern end of that canyon the next trip. And I also, though, have another spot or two that are in very close proximity to each other, but are not right at the Vermilion Creek area, but are in that range of the Colorado Rockies, that I also have very, very strong suspicions the treasure's at. So I guess I'm kind of saying there's a couple of spots, but I want to make a couple of things clear. Before anyone watches any more of these videos that are in this playlist, because I usually do the whole trip and I have 6, 7, 8, 9 videos. I never hunt the treasure in this video series, okay? It's a valid treasure hunting series only in the sense that I did go up into the mountains and I literally found the road snowbound. Now, this experience of snowbound mountains or snowbound roads in the mountains is very common to Western lore. It's very common to the Western experience. It's just not something I've ever been experienced with in my life. Even though I've been reading this stuff, I've been up in the mountains, but I was up in the mountains in October, and I was up in the mountains in August. Once in Denver, I did go up into the mountains. It was not discernibly, in August, it was not discernibly colder. And then I was in the Vermilion Creek in October, and from going to Rock Springs, which is kind of the other jumping off point for people in this area, you've kind of got these two places, Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Vernal, Utah. Those seem to be the two that people use to get into the Rockies there. You know, have relatively good accommodations, restaurants, etc., if you're into that kind of thing. So the last time I was in Rock Springs, Wyoming, this time I was in Vernal, Utah. However, as you'll see in the first video, if you bother to watch it, you'll see that I literally, I reach roads that have been, the gates are down because of the snow, and you can see the snow. So I went out there because I was hoping to get a jump start on the treasure hunting. I really feel like I know what I'm doing, but I underestimated what it meant to have these two climates coexisting within such close proximity. You have Vernal, Utah, that's about 52, and then you go up in the mountains, and after, you could leave and drive up there in 3, 4, 5 hours, and suddenly you're in 37 degrees, and there's snow on the ground. And in Vernal, there wasn't snow on the ground. But then the second day, well, let's say that, okay, I got in on Thursday. That was a complete bust. I ended up in a horrible hotel in another town. Found out that town was horrible. It had the hotel was horrible. There were no good restaurants. There was nothing. So I went to Vernal. Stayed in Vernal for the rest of the week. So it really picks up the second day. Here's all I'm trying to say in a nutshell. I'm snowbound for the entire week I'm there. Okay? I'm just letting everyone know that before they go any further. So if you want to watch my commentary and want to watch me basically go around Vernal, Utah, which is a very, very interesting western town. It's got a dinosaur museum. It's got a heritage museum. It's got an outdoor At the Heritage Museum, there's an outdoor display for the troops, which I thought was kind of amazing. It has a helicopter that was first used, I think, the Cobra in Vietnam, so it's something Forrest Fenn probably is familiar with. All sorts of, just a really super cool town, but I'm just letting you know that outside of the first video, I believe it is, or the second video where I'm up in the mountains and we get stopped by snow. After that, it's basically a travelogue of Vernal, Utah, which with, of course, my usual takes on the whole Forrest Fenn treasure hunt permeating the, you know, I ran into a guy who is a art dealer in fossils for dinosaurs. He had some comments about Forrest Fenn. He was literally the first person I've ever met on one of these trips who knew who Forrest Fenn was. But otherwise, it's me just in Vernal, waiting out to get to the end of the week so I can take a plane back. I do have a funny story, which I also say in one of the videos. I have basic economy seats because I'm doing these trips now, it seems like every 3 or 4 months. So I don't go for first class. I don't have that kind of money. I mean, I know they've got a little bit more legroom and stuff, but God, for the extra money, I guess it's just a way to, I guess if you have the money, spend it, but it's not like you have some separate compartment and all that stuff. You're just kind of in a curtained off area and you have a little more leg room, and I guess maybe you get an alcoholic beverage sometimes when they, you know, for free. I don't know, but I've never really understood first class. I've never really understood first class. I mean, if you're in a big enough plane where you have a whole separate like room and stuff, I know those exist on some of the really big airplanes. Maybe, I guess, if you have the money, but anyway, I get basic economy, so I realized, you know, a few days in from talking to the people around the town, that the mountains are going to stay snowed in. When I went out to Vernal, it was going to be in the 50s. You hear me talking about this in the videos. And, you know, it was going to be like 52, and then it was going to be like around 49, 50, and the week was about 50 for me. So I'm sitting in South Carolina, and I'm just thinking, okay, I can go out there. It's going to be about 50 degrees. I can handle that. I'm going to go find the chest. I'm going to get done because all these people are going to, I'm going to go out in April. I'm going to go out in May. I'm going to go out in June. I thought I'm going to beat the crowd. If I had gone about a week earlier, I literally could have gotten into this one area. Not sure about Vermilion Creek, but I think I could have gotten into that too. But like I said, there's just 2 general areas I'd like to go to, and one of the 2 areas has 2 spots very close together. And then I want to go to Vermilion Creek, which may or may not be valid. Well, unfortunately, it literally snowed the day before I flew in. It was raining in Salt Lake City the day I got in on the 15th, and it was snowing in the mountains. By the 3rd day in Vernal, I wake up to it snowing in Vernal. It was just one of those things, those flukes, where I just went in a really bad week. Excuse me. And by the time I left, the general consensus was if you'd been here a week earlier, you would make it. And some people, a ranger even told me they were thinking they could go to this one area I wanted to go the next week. But he admitted maybe not. They aren't sure. So I'm probably going to go in about 3 weeks. Anyway, it was funny because I called up this lady when I realized I could go home early because there was no point in staying in this area because mountains were going to be snowbound for at least the week I was there. I call her up and I go, hi, my name is Eric Johnson, blah, blah, blah. And I want to take an early flight out of here because there's no point in my staying here. And she goes, well, do you have an emergency? Now, what I didn't know at this point was that my basic economy seats are very restricted. They really don't give you any leeway to do anything because it's the cheapest seats. However, if you have a good emergency, if there's a death in the family or someone's extremely sick or blah, 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 you know, you can get probably an early flight out, and I think they'll let you do that. And the other thing, of course, is, as many people would probably think to do, is just lie, fib, whatever you want to call it, and say someone's really sick at home, and you might get, you know, be able to go back early. But in my case, I literally said to the lady, well, actually, I'm out here treasure hunting, and the place I want to get to, the roads are snowbound, so I can't get in. And the lady, as you might imagine, she's like chuckling, you know. She's like, she's thinking I'm kidding, right? And she's like, and I'm like, and that's it. So I mean, if I could, and she goes, well, I'm sorry, if you're serious, we can't accommodate you because of the restrictions. And I'm so dumb. I'm get off the phone if I'm serious. I mean, now looking back, I was incredibly stupid. You'd think I'd be way beyond the point where these kind of things would be well, not difficult, but yeah, most people would have just made up a story and probably gotten to go home early, and I didn't. And looking back, she probably thought, "What the hell is this? Is this, you know?" So this is my warning to anyone who is only interested in the treasure hunt. Out of the actual first or second video, when you see me up on the roads in the mountains looking to get through, and I'm stopped by the snow and the blocked roads. The rest of it's a travelogue for Vernal, Utah. That's it. Which you'll find out when you watch them anyway. But I'm just letting you know, because I know some people that watch these videos get very upset. If I've had people get on me because they'll say things like, I was watching your video and you passed right by this place. I would have looked. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay. I mean, that's how it is with treasure hunting. Think of all the people that have been within 200 feet, 500 feet of the treasure. They just didn't look. So, I mean, it's the way it is. But I am going back in a few weeks. So, just letting you guys know, this is a trip of treasure hunting and being snowbound, something very normal in the mountains, especially in the Old West. I don't know who has seen The Hateful Eight, but that's a really good movie. And the whole premise is that these people that are traveling in the mountains back in the West all get snowbound in this cabin for like a week. And man, that's a heck of a movie. I like Quentin Tarantino. He has some really cool movies. The Hateful Eight. It's a good movie if you haven't seen it. Well, I shouldn't say it. I don't know what you like. It's a very violent movie, but it's Quentin Tarantino. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Like I said, this is a treasure hunt fail. Snowbound. If you aren't looking to learn about Vernal, Utah and the attractions it's got, I wouldn't probably watch it much at all. But if you are interested in that kind of stuff, enjoy it. And of course, I always allude to the treasure hunt because that is, after all, what I'm doing. So have a good day. I hope everyone's getting ready for their hunts coming up, and talk to you later. I just want to finish a couple of things up before I go here. I did mention on the in the videos of my trip a couple of things. One was arrowheads. I have these. This arrowhead is from Lake Cumberland, or Cumberland Lake up in Kentucky. I was there. The reason I'm a little leery on the name is I was there when I was 7, but I got this from there. I was walking along the shoreline with my dad. It was kind of gravelly, as I remember, and was able to pick this out, even though it's pretty much the color of the gravel. But it's a really cool arrowhead. I've had it for years and years and years. Just kept it in my jewelry box. And then my dad in the Philippines. This is kind of the modern version of arrowheads, I guess you could say. Well, not compared to what they have for bows and hunting and all that. But in the Philippines around 1950, before my dad went to Korea, he was in the Philippines before I was born, and he brought these home. So wicked looking arrowhead. And he used to warn my sisters and me not to ever touch these because if they cut us, they had a really bad poison on them, and that we would die. But looking back, I realize as a parent, he was probably just trying to get us to not, cut ourselves. Although, who knows? And then here's yet another. Obviously, they were just taking, they were taking metal and just kind of doing what they wanted with them. But wicked looking, huh? The arrows eventually got kind of warped, and I threw them out. The feathers, they had feathers on them, and those all fell off. God, here comes Tober. So he'll probably go right to the arrowhead. Hey, buddy, what's up? What's up, Tober? He heard me talking, so he's coming in going, who are you talking to? He probably thought I was looking for him. Okay, buddy, how you doing? So anyway, the other thing I wanted to bring up was I did get a letter from the Department of Natural Resources in Colorado. Nice butt, by the way. A really nice letter. It was an email, and it was a cautionary email just saying, you know, we know that you're out there looking because of your videos. And like I said, the email was a polite email. And he was just saying basically, don't go onto state trust property in the Vermilion Creek area. I think it was that one that prompted the email. And so I wrote him back. I said, I don't go on to any land that is private, whether it's state trust land or it's, you know, certainly private property and anything like that. I don't do that. So I want to get that out of the way that, you know, the treasure hunting has its legal ramifications, and we all know that. And so I was letting the Department of Natural Resources in Colorado know that I have no desire to be on land that is private of any kind. And I sent him the poem with the map and, you know, the sidebar that Fenn has on there with BLM and Indian Reservation, all the different public land types to let us know basically that we should not be on private land. So just wanted to get that out of the way. That was interesting to get that email and realize that people are watching my videos, you know, and sometimes they're in an official capacity. The phone's going. I guess I better go. Everyone have fun hunting, and see you later.